Welcome back to the deep dive. So we've got a stack of sources you sent in, and they all focus on something that, well, makes almost everyone a little bit uncomfortable.
Oh, yeah. That universal awkwardness.
Talking about money, compensation, salary, all of it, and doing it in a professional setting.
And in English, which, just adds a whole other layer of complexity. It feels so loaded, you worry about sounding greedy or maybe unprofessional.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to get into the really specific vocabulary, the diplomatic phrases that can turn that anxiety into actual confidence.
Right.
We're taking the best guidance on how to speak about finance and work in English, not just correctly, but with, a bit of polish.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's unpack this, because this is all about giving you the tools to be clear without crossing that line into being rude.
And we should remember the core idea here is really just communication efficiency. I mean,
Right.
knowing the right term like compensation package, instead of just money, it instantly signals that you're a professional.
Okay, so let's start with the foundations, the basic words. Because the nuance here is actually a really big professional signal.
It absolutely is.
We have to start with the big one, the difference between salary and wage.
Yes, and this is just paramount in the professional world. It really reflects the whole structure of a job. When you talk about a salary, you're talking about a fixed amount of money.
Paid monthly or annually, usually.
Right. It's a fixed amount, regardless of the specific hours you work that week. It implies a full-time contracted employment status.
So if you say something like, my salary is reviewed annually, you're signaling that whole framework. Now contrast that with a wage.
And a wage is totally different. It's calculated based on time, hourly, or sometimes daily. You see it with contract workers, part-time jobs, that kind of thing.
Where payment is tied directly to the hours you log.
And what's so important for you as a listener to get here is not just the definition. It's the implication.
The signal it sends.
Exactly, the signal. So, I mean, think about it. If you're going for an executive position and you ask about the hourly wage,
Yeah.
you've immediately sent the completely wrong signal. It shows you don't really understand the world you're trying to step into.
Okay, so moving on from job types to just personal finance, the language of planning. Everyone needs a budget, right? A plan for spending.
Sure.
But the sources bring up a really useful phrase here, which is having a tight budget.
And a tight budget is such a brilliant phrase.
Yeah.
It's defensive in a good way. It tells people money is limited, but you don't have to give them any embarrassing details.
Right. You can just say, oh, I'd love to come, but I'm on a tight budget this month.
And that's it. It's clear, it's polite, and it protects your privacy.
And tied right into that is the verb afford. Can you afford it? I can't afford that new phone right now. It's just a simple way to set a boundary.
And then, just to clean up the last bit of vocab, the pricing terms. Something that costs a lot is, of course, expensive.
Easy enough.
But the opposite is where it gets interesting. The word cheap means low cost, sure, but it often kind of implies low quality.
Yeah, that it might break.
Exactly. So the much better, more professional word is affordable.
Affordable, it frames it positively, it suggests value, that it fits within a reasonable budget. It's a subtle but really important difference in a business conversation.
Absolutely. It's all about that professional clarity.
Okay, so we've got the foundational words down. Now let's get to the high-stakes stuff. Professional compensation and job interviews. The sources are so clear on this. You just can't walk into an interview and blurt out, so how much money will I get?
No, that's almost guaranteed to just derail the whole conversation. The goal here is to shift from the language of demand to the language of, well, inquiry.
Right. And the first most professional question to ask is, what is the salary range for this position? Why is that range part so important?
Because a range shows you understand how companies actually work. They have internal pay bands, based on experience, location, all that.
Yeah.
You're asking for their parameters.
You're not issuing a challenge.
Exactly. It's an information gathering step, not a negotiation step. It just respects their formal process.
That makes a lot of sense. But, okay, what if I want to sound even more sophisticated? Move past just the base pay.
Okay. This is where we get to the really strategic term, the compensation package. This is so critical.
So the phrase is...
The recommended phrase is, could you please tell me about the compensation package for this role?
Let's break that down. Why does compensation package carry so much more weight?
Because compensation is everything the company offers you. It's the salary, yes, but it's plus the value of everything else.
The benefits.
The benefits, exactly. We're talking about paid vacation, health insurance, maybe a 401k match, stock options, bonuses, all of it.
So if I only focus on that one cash number, I could be missing thousands of dollars in value from, say, a good insurance plan.
Precisely. Asking about the package shows you're thinking long-term about your total financial health. It just signals a higher level of maturity. You see the job as a holistic relationship, not just hours for dollars.
Which brings us, inevitably, to the next step. You have the range, you know about the package, now you have to negotiate.
Which is just discussing something to reach a fair agreement.
And the key thing here, especially for anyone new to this kind of corporate culture, is that negotiating your salary is completely normal. It is expected.
It is absolutely expected. But the language you use is everything. You cannot sound like you're giving them an ultimatum. It has to be collaborative.
Okay, so let's get into the recommended phrasing. You don't say, I demand $50,000.
No. Instead, you use this polite, fact-based approach.
Yeah.
I was hoping for something closer to $50,000 based on my research and experience in this field.
Ah, see, that's the key part. Based on my research and experience.
It anchors the whole thing, in fact, not emotion. You've done your homework.
Yeah.
You know your market value. And that phrase, I was hoping for, is a nice, soft opener. It invites a discussion.
Okay, that's the opener. But what if they just say no? They say, look, our maximum for this role is $45,000 and we can't go higher.
This is where the experienced negotiator really shines. And it's where knowing about the package pays off. You have to pivot.
You don't let the conversation just end there.
Never. You connect it back to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
You pivot from the cash to the non-monetary value.
So you acknowledge their limit on salary.
Exactly. And then you shift the conversation. The polite phrasing our sources suggest is something like, I understand your position on the base salary. In that case, is there any flexibility with vacation time or, say, work from home options?
That is just tactical genius. You're showing you respect their budget,
Yeah.
but you are still trying to maximize your own value.
Right. And asking for remote work or an extra week of vacation, that often costs the company a lot less than $5,000 in salary. But to you, it might be worth way more for your quality of life.
It shows you're thinking strategically about the whole relationship. That's a highly professional move. So we've focused a lot on work, but these money conversations, they don't just stay in the office. Social situations can be just as awkward.
Oh, sometimes more so. Especially when a friend or a relative asks a really direct question about your income.
Right. And you don't actually have to answer, how much money do you make? Maintaining your financial boundaries is a key part of confidence.
And you need the right polite language to do that without causing offense.
Okay, so the sources give two really good phrases for this. The first one is direct, simple, and firm. I prefer to keep that private.
It's a perfect boundary setter. It's polite because of the word prefer, but it's very clear. No explanation needed.
And the second option is a bit softer, maybe for a close friend who's just curious.
Right. For that, you can say, I earn enough to be comfortable.
And that's so smart because it does two things at once. It tells them you're doing okay, so it satisfies their curiosity about your well-being.
But it still closes the door on the exact number. You communicate satisfaction, but you keep your privacy. It's perfect.
And this confidence extends to, just daily life. Shopping, you hear people just say, price, but it sounds a bit abrupt.
It does. For a simple transaction, the clear, polite question is just, how much is this?
And what if you think there might be a deal?
The professional way to ask is there any discount available?
Okay, and the final piece here. What if the price is just too high?
Yeah.
You need a way to decline that doesn't sound like you're judging them.
Yeah, you want to avoid saying something like, wow, that's ridiculously expensive.
So instead, you use the polite internal phrase. That's a bit out of my price range.
Out of my price range. It's so powerful because the focus is on your budget, not their price. It's respectful, it's non-confrontational, and it's very professional.
So what does this all mean? We've basically put together a specific linguistic toolkit. We started with that feeling of awkwardness, and we've replaced it with strategic phrases, whether it's knowing salary versus wage, asking about a compensation package, or just politely setting a boundary with a friend. Adopting these phrases gives you immediate authority.
And that transformation from feeling like a novice to feeling like a confident communicator, it really depends entirely on using these terms. Practice isn't just helpful, it's crucial for making this language feel natural.
It has to feel natural when the stakes are high.
Exactly.
So you now have the structure and the specific language tools you need.
So here's a final thought for you to reflect on. If negotiation and financial discussion are, in a way, a performance, and confidence is the currency of that performance, what single phrase we talked about today, maybe I was hoping for something closer to. Or, is there any flexibility with vacation time? What phrase are you going to actively practice to make sure your very next financial conversation is a standing ovation?
A fantastic challenge to end on. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us. We'll see you next time.